There we go. We're recording.
Okay.
You're muted, Val. All right, so I will, I guess, call the meeting of the Economic Development Committee to order, February 17th, 6 p.m. We are on Zoom. I guess I will read the statement, and then we'll go to roll call and stuff. Oh, thank you. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 18, and Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Economic Development Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Members of the public who would like to participate in the meeting via Zoom can do so by clicking the link that is in the agenda. Members of the public who would like to listen to the meeting while in progress may also do so via telephone by dialing 646-558-8656 and enter meeting ID 896-7018-6281. Then press pound and pound again at the next voice prompt. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment. By following the steps previously noted, then press *9 on their telephone keypad or use the quote raise hand unquote function on Zoom. This will notify the meeting host that the caller wishes to speak. In the event that despite our best efforts we are not able to provide for real-time access, we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as we are able. So we'll note that, Lil, if you want to make note of the members who are in attendance this evening so far. And I will make note of the fact that I was notified from Tom Card, one of our members who indicated regretfully or regrettably that he doesn't have the time currently with family obligations and work and other things to commit to the regular schedule. And feels bad about that. Asked me to convey to all of you thanks and his wishes for our success collectively. He will be writing a letter specifically, I guess, to me as well as to Joe Marie O'Mahony, Selectman O'Mahony, who was his appointing member of the Board of Selectmen. I think that will trigger for her to identify and make a replacement appointment. So I'll communicate with her after the fact and make sure that we're following that procedure correctly. So be aware of that. Greg Bendel, Selectman Bendel, is attending a last minute sort of emergency meeting of the Board of Selectmen that's happening right now, concurrent with this meeting. They had a specific topic of addressing how the vacancy on the school committee will be filled. In case any of you aren't aware, Steve Bjork, who had been on the school committee, resigned, and that creates a vacancy on the school committee that needs to be filled. And so they're working through that process. So that means, unfortunately, we don't have Greg this evening. Other than that, I did expect to see Rob, and I think maybe he's the only one that's, oh, there he is, he's coming in. So that's awesome. That's great news. Rob, you're muted, but if you can hear me, thank you for being here. I was able to, thank you, Lil. We were able to get a draft of the minutes from December. Well, I forget the date, forgive me. And I should have looked.
I think it's the 8th, Mike.
Thank you very much, Paul. So December 8th, I did send those out earlier. We don't have to take them up this evening if everyone hasn't had a chance to review them and feel comfortable about what they say. We certainly can put that off. But if you feel comfortable voting on it, I would accept a discussion and a motion to that. But I would also accept anyone's wish to put it off until our next meeting.
I have not had a chance. I have not looked at them, just as I've been so busy today. So
No, it's completely understandable, Suzanne. We gave you all of 2 hours to look at them. So, you know, I wish you'd kind of get on the.
Yeah. Looking at them, and the top line says Thursday, November 5th.
Oh, it does. I will fix that. Yep.
Okay, yeah, okay.
My bad.
Yeah, November 5th was in the approval of minutes number 1. Okay, so yep, that would be an error. And I looked through it quickly and I thought it was good.
As did I, and I didn't see any corrections. I think just for what's appropriate here, and it's common practice with other committees to review and vote on multiple sets of minutes sometimes when it's not feasible to get the previous meeting's minutes in queue. So given the fact we really didn't give you a lot of time and it is a work day and we're meeting at 6 o'clock, I think it's the appropriate thing is to make with that one correction. And if anybody else notices any corrections, let me or let Lil know directly. We'll make those corrections, send out a new draft, and we'll hopefully vote on the revised draft of December 8th, as well as the draft of tonight's meeting at our next meeting. I would like to do that. Is there any opposition by anybody to that plan? Okay, then we don't need to even take a vote on it. We'll just do that. Lil, if you don't mind taking that on, thank you so much. So that's agenda 1. Bear with me, I'm doing this live. Report from the planning office. I can sit back and defer to Valerie here. I put a couple of bullets, Val, that I know that some of the members from our committee are particularly interested in discussing, or at least getting an understanding of what's been happening in town hall. But certainly if there are things that are not on the agenda and not bulletized on the agenda, we'd love to have you kind of uncover any topics. So I'll bring it over to you.
Thank you. Well, there are a couple things that I can start with. Spoke with Colette at Sunnyside Diner, and she is looking for some space because she's vacating the spot she's in where the 40B development is slated to go. So I sent her to Nancy, and maybe she's contacted you. I let her know of some spaces that are open, up on Ballard Vale, also along Main Street. And so she was going to look into some things, but she's looking for space. And then I just heard that a spin studio is potentially going into Main Street. I don't have the address with me, but it's the what people call the backwards building. So the spot on Main Street.
The Wilmington Dance Academy is?
Yes, exactly. So I think they're taking the place of maybe there was a hair salon there potentially, and then they're taking that space, I think, but looking into locating there.
So, sorry, well, they're going into the standalone supercut. Was.
Hey, Nancy,
Yeah, I think
you
it's
want
the-
good Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I can hear it.
You're kind of muffled, right?
Continue.
I think it might be the standalone. I think it's all one site. So it's not the backwards building, but the same site where I believe where the hair salon was. But it's still kind of new. So, watch for that. And then the list here, Textron, town staff had a meeting with Textron folks and National Development, the firm that's looking to buy half of that site to do a warehouse building. And they sort of gave us general concepts of what they're looking to do, but didn't have exact details of how the land would be kind of split up. Generally, Textron consolidating to one building. I believe it's one building that I think it's building 9, and then they're going to tear down a lot of the front buildings and sort of have a clean slate for National Development to develop the property, but didn't show how the property would be divided into. And we haven't heard a whole lot of what exactly is going to happen there. Sorry, I'm just letting someone into the meeting.
Valerie, is there any opportunity at all there for some, to preserve, maybe some commercial development up at least on Lowell Street? It would be a real bummer to have warehouses on Lowell Street, a real bummer.
Agreed. We've been very consistent in our conversations with Textron about, I think, what the town would like to see in that location, more of kind of a mixed use type of approach with commercial and residential to a degree. They are not interested in that. This is the way that they have decided to go. So the zoning is general industrial there. So they are, they're allowed to do general industrial. We don't know what limitations might be on the parcel from prior uses. We don't know if there are environmental considerations or, other limitations that might be on it. We expressed that, warehouse was not something that we were excited about. And again, the vision for that area is more of a mixed use type of setting, and express the concerns that we'll want to look really carefully at their traffic study and have it peer reviewed, make sure that whatever impacts coming from any development there are mitigated.
I mean, maybe maybe they could be open. I don't know, maybe even if the Economic Development Committee wanted to just send a letter and let them know about the survey that we took and what the people of Wilmington would like to have there, or what we'd like to have, for some economic development, at least along Lowell Street. Yeah, I mean, residential they might have environmental concerns there for residential, and that's why they don't want to go there. They may have environmental concerns, and that's why they don't want to do commercial, period, and why they want to do warehouse. But at least up along Lowell Street, maybe there's some opportunity there, to negotiate at least that section.
What they were showing us was a sort of a large warehouse building. It wasn't on Lowell Street, it was set back, but it was just that use in either a large user or multiple users in that building, with it split up into different sections. But yeah, we've been really encouraging Textron and now National Development to look at other options. But what I'm told is that we've had a lot of really high value sales in town with industrial properties, and higher than we've ever seen, according to the assessor. So I think our industrial properties are pretty hot right now, and National Development is looking to do something like that. So
would Valerie, would National Development be somebody who might develop a property and then say sublease it to an Amazon or somebody like that? Is that kind of their mindset?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they develop properties and then lease them. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real shame. They've done such nice projects in other communities, like, in Linfield and Burlington. They've just done some really great projects. It's kind of a bummer. And I mean, I don't know if there's any wiggle room or not, or if even, maybe nothing ventured, nothing gained. I mean, if the Economic Development Committee were to send, just a letter, just letting them know of, I don't know.
I agree with you, Suzanne. It may get zero results, but maybe it's the one thing. I mean, if they hear from a few different targets, they're already hearing from Town Hall. If they hear from an independent, if you want to call us that, voice, and referencing some of the survey information, I think it's a really good idea. And why not? Frankly, is the question. Why not try to get that point across? At least we've done our due diligence by suggesting it. The question I guess I would have is, I wouldn't want to have us necessarily communicate differently or communicate a different message, dramatically different message than they might be getting from the selectmen and the town management. So I want to be consistent in some ways. If you want to draft something, Suzanne, and then we can some pretty language on it, and we'll get the addressees, the individuals that we can send them to. I think we can do that without.
Okay.
I mean, is there opposition to this idea from anyone on the committee?
No, I think it's a good idea. I do have a question though. Is national development the foregone conclusion on the Textron property? I mean, if they, I'm sorry, I'm not up to speed on that stuff, but I mean, is it them? They are the chosen one for that property?
I believe at the time we met with them, they were working on a purchase and sale agreement with Textron. So
And Valerie, is that the only type of development they do is the warehouse type stuff, you know, commercial, I mean, manufacturing?
No,
Okay.
it's not. And that's why we,
Okay, so there is a
Very
kind
clear.
of a little wedge we could put in there that Suzanne said, I don't know if they did Linfield. Boy, if they did,
Yes, they did.
did they really? Oh, boy.
yeah.
Wow.
And I really focused on that during the meeting and expressed just that. And what they came back with wasn't very wishy-washy. It was sort of, we believe that this site is best used for warehouse.
Mm.
And that's what we're going to do. But maybe, you know, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, it's not surprising given, 2 miles or less to 93. Valerie, I'm just wondering, does the town have any sway in terms of how, if they're going to go that route, how those buildings would look? In other words, you want a sort of cement eyesore on Lowell Street if possible. Does the town have any sway there?
So any project there is going to go through site plan review with the planning board. That is mostly geared towards site arrangement, site layout, but there are conversations about architecture as well. And I don't think that national development is going to do something that's ugly, and we'll try to hold them to that. So
Okay, I mean,
technically, we don't have a review of the architecture that, a formal review of architecture, but it is talked about and it is a part of that review with the planning board.
What about the fields? I know that's always, the town, in my recollection, and I think that they're still there, there's always been that desire to annex the Yentl property out into the athletic recreational fields, but the fields are Textron property. Is that part of this negotiation?
That was another topic that we discussed during that meeting. And, Jeff was really clear about the town's desire to make that connection with Yentl and have those fields as public open space. They expressed an interest in working with the town for something long-term, but wouldn't go as far as saying that, it could become town property. And my guess is that they may need that land area for open space calculations for the project that they want to do. So they probably don't want to split it off and get rid of it. They want to keep it as part of their site as open space so they can more densely develop the other part of it. But it sounded like they didn't have plans for it. They wanted to kind of keep it as open space and maybe work with the town, some sort of long-term arrangement. So, which is something.
So if it's okay with everybody, and I don't want to thwart questions on this subject matter, so I don't mean to end the conversation, but we talked about doing a letter. Maybe leave the addressee fields blank for the time being, Suzanne, and just come up with a basic draft, and then between you and I, we can come up with what we believe would be a good final draft. We'll get the address information from Valerie or someone in town hall, and we'll send something off. To you guys, it's one of those things, right? I don't want to set a special meeting just to review the text of the letter, but I also don't want to send the letter around through email and violate open meeting law. So is there a comfort level among the rest of the members here that between Suzanne and I, we can pen a letter that articulates the general gist of the committee?
Yes.
yeah, okay by me.
Okay. Suzanne, that's good. You take a first pass of the draft and we'll go back and forth until we get it to our liking. Is that fair?
Yep, okay, will do.
Don't want to end it prematurely. Anything else on Textron? Go ahead, Valerie, North Wilmington.
North Wilmington, if you've driven by, 362 Middlesex is under construction. And the Friendly 40B, just down the street from there is, got their approval from conservation. So they've gone through the town's permitting process for the project. And then the MassWorks grant that we received for sewer, the culvert and the roadway improvements, those things are proceeding with design. So it's a lot of moving pieces over there, a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, any questions on that stuff?
Not really questions about those specific projects, but rather, you already alluded to Sunnyside Cafe looking to stay in business, but find another place to do so. And I'm hopeful that they will. I like the idea of coming into more the center of town. You know, the corner building, it's across the street, not going to Big Joe's, but the other across the street. It's an empty, I think it was a karate studio, maybe upstairs.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Building.
yeah.
And
Yep.
I'm thinking that's kind of a cool spot, you know? I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe too expensive. I really don't know. Maybe it's too big. But that, or where the Honeydew Donuts was next to the backwards building, that in that area where I
Yeah.
think there was a subway in there too. Because, you know, Sunnyside's a small spot generally where they are now, so it doesn't seem like they need a huge footprint. So hopefully, you know, I don't know, we can help them to the extent that we have the ability to do so, help them find a spot. But are there other businesses over there? I know there's a hairdresser, if I'm not mistaken, or a barber. There's the
EJ.
grab and go pizza place. I forgot his name. I love his
EJ's.
product. What'd you say, Pat?
EJ's.
Yes, I'm sorry, EJ's. Yeah, good stuff. And you know, a couple other small businesses there. Have they indicated to either you, Nancy, through the chamber, or you, Valerie, at the town hall, a desire to stay in town and find another place to be?
I think the barber retired.
Okay.
Did I see the sign right?
Yeah, he retired.
Yeah.
EJ, I did have a conversation with him. Is my audio better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I did have a conversation with him. I have his specs of what he's looking for, so he does want to stay in town.
Hopefully that message gets out to would-be landlords.
And I'm waiting for a listing sheet from where you referenced the corner of Main Street where the karate place was. I'm waiting for the listing on that from the realtor. And then I also am waiting for the listing from the Trump store. She told me a week and a half ago she was sending it to me. I've called her twice, so waiting for that too. But because I was thinking that spot for EJ's, and I wanted, because it's the square footage kind of works with what he was looking for. So so I was looking at that place as well for him.
I think it's
Is
a
there
good-
parking over there though, Nancy?
Well, not really, but it is grab and go from EJ's, and they do have some spots across the street at the, at the park, at the MBTA.
Isn't there some street parking? It's parallel, right? But you have maybe 3 or 4 spots there.
Yeah,
But it's not dine in, so folks don't kind of go and linger at EJ's.
yeah.
Right.
He has a lot of parking spots where he is now.
Right.
It's almost too bad. It feels like, if the Textron property was really ready, you could almost say to them as part of your proposal, we have 4 potential tenants ready to go if you,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, the timing, yeah.
timing's
Unfortunately, that timing doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we? Oh.
True value.
Yeah, and I don't mean to, Valerie, if you have other things you want to include, these bullets were just a guide for the conversation. We defer to you. But True Value, I believe is expanding, so I wanted to kind of explore that. Is that confirmed from your perspective?
I haven't heard anything about that,
Okay, it was in the news, I think, so.
but sometimes I'm the last to know, so.
I did read that in the news, yeah.
Yeah, it was news, so I'm sure Mr. Hayes or someone must have gotten a scoop. And I don't know to what degree. I was hopeful that maybe someone in this call would have a little bit of detail, just so that anybody that watches this later might have maybe gotten a little bit of a detail on it, but my understanding was simply that he was going to stay in the general vicinity where he is in the plaza, but stretch out to, I think, to his existing left, into where I'm not even exactly sure what was there, where the.
It's just that spot next to Market Basket to the right has that seasonal,
Yeah,
there's
the
a bigger
Halloween place
footprint,
goes
so
in
maybe
there,
that's where he's going.
I think so. I think so. So
I
I
mean,
don't
that makes sense.
I
That's
don't wanna
great.
bring that as gospel. I'm just glad that he's staying here and he's growing here.
Yeah.
That's what I think we all want to see our businesses do.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I love that business, and it's good that it's not going to another location. And
Yeah.
it's my
I
first
agree.
stop to shop local before I go to the other places.
Yep.
So Valerie, you'll hear about that soon, I'm sure. Keep us posted.
Val, do you have any update?
Going on with the new health building?
That was my question.
Okay.
Any update on Health Plus?
What is it?
No.
So strange. I mean, I see the banner and their chamber members, they joined. She was very active and, calling me, and I haven't heard a peep from her. And I've called her twice, left 2 messages. So, but then I see the banner up there. So I don't know what's going on with that, but
And that was
Was it
going to go where CardSmart was, Nancy?
yeah.
Yeah.
A health center? Is that what you guys said?
Yes, it's called Health Plus,
Like a urgent care.
urgent care.
Gotcha.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, we saw the banner as well.
Yeah. And then we did get a new Cubby Oil moved in on Jospin Street. I talked to him the other day. So they're all moved in. And the other question I had was the new tenant that's going in over at Lucci's building. Where the,
Granite store.
yes, thank you. You can't tell what the company is from the name Adriana.
Yeah. What is it? I don't know.
Flowers?
No, it's like 3 letters. I don't know. It's confusing.
Right.
Name. Yeah.
I tried Googling it, but Val,
Yeah.
Yeah, Lila, we saw that as well. We had no idea
Yeah.
what that meant.
Mm-mm.
What were the letters?
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I don't remember.
I thought,
I'll ask my wife, 1 second. Yeah.
I
What's
thought
the name of that store next to Lucci's?
Adriana's or something.
Then
Yeah,
you said
something.
Andrea Lucci.
You should know this.
I believe it's some type of personal service as far as,
Spa?
I can't, yeah, some type of spa type thing. I can't remember exactly. I know, I talked to John Lucci weeks ago and he was, so working out some details. They had to install a bathroom, for the new tenant. So, and I remember it was something salon-like.
Adriana's PMU. We don't.
Yeah. PMU. That's what it was.
But we couldn't figure out what that meant.
Someone quickly Google PMU. I can't imagine.
I don't know.
I'm almost afraid.
Right there.
All right, well, that's
Oh, no.
business. So here's D is a loaded question. and Maybe that's too much for tonight, but liquor licenses. There was a time when I knew how many we had, and there's all full liquor licenses, and then there's such thing, I guess, as beer and wine only licenses, and I'm speaking specifically for restaurants. So I don't know how that gets calculated currently, and if it's ever a possibility that we should request that be recalculated. Are we at a limit now? In other words, what I'm getting at, or trying to, is if we've used up all the allocated liquor licenses that the town of Wilmington has, does that become a barrier for a would-be restaurateur to come into town that wants to have an all alcohol license? So, what would be the harm to have a reservoir of 5 or 6 more liquor licenses sort of at the ready for would-be businesses to come in? And how would that process work?
Well, I talked to Beverly about this last week, and there are 2 separate things. There's package stores. We are maxed out on our package stores, and she says that those are allocated by census numbers. So, and to change that, you would need to, have legislation. So you're sort of locked into your package store number. But I did ask her about the liquor licenses, and my understanding is that here in town, the liquor licenses are for everything. So beer, wine, and spirits. And according to Beverly, when she last looked, we have 13 available. So we have quite a few that,
Wow.
yeah,
13 unused available?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yep. So at this point, I think we've got a good reserve.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. That was my only concern was, and I had no idea what the numbers were. If we had one available, I think I'd be like, oh, geez, maybe we should take some action. I think with 13, we're in good shape. And I'm not concerned about, personally, I'm not concerned about the package stores unless somebody else is. So that was where my head was. I don't want to, again, I want to make sure that anyone has the opportunity to ask a question along these lines, if anyone has one.
No, but I think you really want to know that PMU stands for permanent makeup.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh.
like the tattooing kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it could be.
Wow.
That is, I just
Yeah.
was- I just
It also stands for pick me up. So I don't know.
Yeah. Or pump me up. Yeah.
Or pump me up. Yep. Yep. Well,
I suspect it's the first.
yeah,
I do too.
that's interesting.
Yeah, that is.
Permanent makeup. My God.
Yeah, she's
Wow.
on
That's
it.
a thing, eyebrows and.
Yeah,
lipstick,
eyeliner,
stuff,
yeah.
Yeah, that really is a thing, yeah.
It is. Yep.
Mhm.
And that actually goes in line with tattooing too, because that's essentially what it is.
Yep.
So,
Very
boy.
true. The permanent part of that scares me.
yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
But it's whatever. It's a good business and bring in the business.
Let's
Well,
go. That's what we
wake up
want.
Good every morning, so.
Yeah.
Very well. Okay.
All right.
Let's move right along. Congratulations to us on
Yeah.
agenda item number 3. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you especially to Carol, I think Suzanne, Nancy, for after our last meeting in December, we had identified the local rapid recovery planning grant process. And we heard from, I forgot the woman's name, but she had strongly suggested to us that we participate in the webinar and fill out our application. And time was tight and we got it done. And it was a lot of hands that got involved, and Valerie and myself to some degree, and we got it in, and we're notified a couple weeks ago, that we were recipients of the grant. And so that's good news. I guess the grant doesn't come, and I don't want to speak too authoritatively on this. I'm still trying to learn, and Valerie might be able to give us a little bit more information, but the grant doesn't come in the form of cash that we can spend. It comes in the form of consulting. So at some point we will be assigned a consultant, either from the agency that we were working with or from a sister agency that they will identify for us to communicate with. And then they'll start to set up some webinars, some training sessions for all of us, and really go through. And I think at the end result of this session with the consultant, they will look at all of the work that we've already done, and hopefully cull together some actionable, I guess, things that we can actually take steps towards, and a roadmap for how to do it, which is, I think, what we all kind of need. We're all people of ideas and we all have ambition and energy, but sometimes it's kind of herding cats, right? What do we do with all that? And I think this consultant will help us sort of congeal our efforts into something that we can take some measurable progress on. So Valerie, did I say that the way that you believe believe it to be?
Yes, and we're expecting that they'll assign a consultant and schedule those the webinar later this month. They had said late February, so we're getting there, and so we expect to hear from them soon.
I'm looking
great.
forward to it. Like I say, we've all done a lot of good work, the survey, and we have the Main Street study from now a couple of years ago, but it still has a lot of good value. So I think that this is a good thing for us. We can cull all that really good data together. And I think the intent will be, and is, to focus on how can we fill some of those vacancies on Main Street. Are some of them directly related to COVID? Maybe yes, maybe no, but as we inch our way out of COVID, how can we leverage the resources that we have and fill some of those spaces and boost our economy? I'm sorry, let's see, I think someone was waiting to speak there, I'm sorry.
Mike, I was just wondering, so was that through Maria
Forgive me, I should have had.
from no, not Maria?
No,
Betsy, wasn't her name Betsy?
No,
Marie-
it's from DHCD.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Maria that gave us a presentation, but maybe it wasn't.
Well, I think she gave us the information and told us that we should look into it, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And the other question I had, so that grant leading us towards an economic development position for someone or no?
I don't
No,
think so.
No?
no.
Just curious.
I think it's really kind of like Mike said, to really look at what we've already done and put together an action plan. So even, the next agenda topic, the marketing brochure, the flyer, the marketing video, things that we've talked about at multiple meetings, really looking at in the territory that we gave them was the Main Street corridor is the study area that we're going to be looking at. So really looking at, again, what we've done and the ideas that we have and really kind of, putting actionable tasks to those and when it comes to these other things that we've talked about. So like I said,
It's also COVID related in a way, because of this, what the state wants to do is the state really wants to gather some information about how the pandemic has really hurt towns economically. And so one of their ways to do that is to actually have consultants come in and gather information and then identify areas where we can actually make some progress or maybe get grant money or get some type of economic development going in areas that have been impacted by COVID also. So it's kind of a multi-pronged approach to the things that we want to do, so it's a step in the right direction for sure.
Great.
Yeah, I view it as a real positive to help formalize some of the things that I think we intuitively already maybe know we need to do. But if you have someone who's expert and spends their entire career really strategizing in these areas, they might be able to help us get over some of the hurdles, even if those hurdles are ourselves sometimes.
and although it might not be funding that they give us, it could be resources. And this is, I think, really how we started the process, because it was with that marketing brochure that, you remember, that Tewksbury had done, and then them about the Wilmington one and having them do that. And that's kind of where the ball started with this. So, if that's something that is on our, to do our action list, then they may have a resource to help us do that as well.
Or point us in the direction where those resources exist.
Right.
Yeah, it was Betsy, I'm sorry, Betsy Cowan Neptune, Chief of Economic Development, Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
Right.
And Alex Kopelman also from there. So it was they that had spoken with us. So that's good news. I guess stay tuned. Once Valerie, you expect they will be reaching through to you or Jeff to you, or how's that going to happen?
I expect they'll be reaching out to Jeff.
Okay.
Jeff will.
Conversation. I thought they were going to be reaching out to you, Mike. You are taken as the primary contact, so that's what they had told me on the phone even recently.
I've been checking the email that the town email that I have through the town hall, that as well as my personal email, and I haven't heard back from them. And when we got notified that we had gotten the grant, that communication did go through the town manager. So I don't know. I'll certainly stay close to it. And if they reach out to me, that's fine. But I guess we want to be aware of any communications that come from them, whether it be to me, Valerie, Jeff, or anybody else. I was aware of that, Nancy. I was hopeful. In fact, I checked a couple days ago, like, oh crap, here I am waiting for some communication, and maybe it's been sitting in my email, but it wasn't. Mr. Bendel, thank you very much. Good seeing you this evening. I hope everything's going well.
Very good.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
Not at all. Thank you for
No,
coming
it's
in.
all right.
So thank you again to all who are involved in getting us that grant, and please stay tuned. As soon as we get more information about what the next steps are, it may involve us meeting outside of the context of this meeting to really engage in some of that, some of those sessions, but I think it'll be time well spent. Agenda 4, item 4 is town meeting, which, tell me the date again. Greg, do you have it by heart?
May 1st?
May 1 at the Shriners this year, yes?
Correct.
Once again, great gratitude and thanks to the Shriners for being generous and opening up their facility to the town, as they always do.
Yeah.
You know, last year we kind of kicked around the idea, do we either A, make a presentation, or do we write something up and hand it out? I don't know. I don't want to exhaust this, but is there merit to the idea, or do you folks think that there would be something advantageous to have prepared in advance of town meetings for the town meeting attendees?
Maybe it might be just a good idea just to have handouts of what the results were of the surveys.
Yeah, I think a handout would be good.
And maybe we'd have some more detail on the grant, on the grant by then as well.
Yeah.
Could be mentioned.
Maybe we make it almost like a, like a one-page newsletter or something, to
Yeah.
tell them about us, and like Suzanne and Nancy said, add that information and, a few other little tidbits. Maybe we could put all our contact information on there.
Oh, good. Your personal email and phone number, Lil?
I was thinking of yours, but
Okay.
I'll take one for the team.
I'm half kidding. Is there a volunteer? Is there a volunteer that would like to take a swing at putting a first pass draft of this sort of handout?
I would be happy to do it if somebody would partner with me who has the materials that could.
Yeah, I mean, I
Volunteers.
have the survey results. We all kind of have them through the time, but yeah, gladly, Carol. I mean, if you want to, we don't have to get too scientific about it, but really just getting it into when we talk about one page, I'm talking about 8.5 by 11, both sides.
Yes.
I think we can use that real estate on two sides of a regular sheet of paper. So let's, if you want to start a preliminary layout, Carol, then we can start to figure out how we get that content in there in a logical and legible format. That's some of the challenge. There's a lot of stuff in that survey.
Right.
How do we cull that down to meaningful content in a small space?
Yep. If you all could just kind of help me for a minute here. So I'm just going to bullet like the main thing. So we're going to do kind of the survey results. Obviously, I can't put the whole thing in. It's too much, but kind of the survey results is one thing, and not the one that was done by you Lowell, a while ago. We would we'll stay away from that one though, right? The older one.
Right.
We just want to do the one that we did.
Yep.
We want to talk about maybe about the grant if by that time we get a little information on where that's going to go and how they're going to help us with consulting.
Yeah, put a placeholder in for some like a paragraph on what the LRRP or whatever the heck it stands for.
Do we want anything from maybe from Valerie's point of view of up and coming things, or do we want, for example, would we want to talk about Textron, or is that not our place to do that? No.
I don't think that's our place.
Okay.
My feeling is we're going to look to try to work strategically, specifically on improving and filling vacancies along the Main Street corridor.
Yeah.
While at the same time thinking bigger picture and longer term, yada yada.
Yeah.
All the things we talked about. Really, you can kind of look at the mission statement and just sort of.
Yes, I was just going to say
expand
that,
on
the
that.
mission station.
Yeah.
If I could just chime in, I would try to drive people to the website where you could have the full survey results.
Yep. Good idea.
That's right. You could give a nice snippet.
Yeah, definitely put some links in there.
We could invite.
Or to sign up for our email alerts. So I would take a lot of it off the website, who we are, what our mission is, how to contact us, and how to get those e-alerts.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I think I got
If you need any help, Carol, please, you can reach out to me. If you need any help, I'll be happy to help.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol, for
If
taking
it's
that on.
okay, what I'd like to do is maybe do a first draft and then just run it by Suzanne and then submit it to you, Mike, is that okay? So kind of gets a second set of eyes.
Where
Okay.
are we? We're in February. Yeah, so we'll hope to meet in March, do a draft, and maybe we'll go back and forth on 2 or 3 drafts between now and our next meeting. And hopefully we have something we can present to the committee next meeting, and maybe it needs some finishing, final polishing, but we'll have something
Right.
done by then.
And you want it 8.5 by 11 double-sided is what you're
Yeah.
thinking?
I think so. There's no reason to waste the back side of a piece of paper, so let's go for it.
Okay.
Cool. I'm on number 5 here. Marketing brochure, flyer, promoting town. I have Nancy's name next to it. Sorry, Nancy, I don't mean to throw you under the.
Yeah, no, that's okay. These are things that were part of that, the consultant piece. So in the video, I know Val, you had sent us a email saying that the town would be interested in kicking in some money, but then you mentioned sponsors. So is the town okay with businesses sponsoring the video that would go on the town website?
Yeah, I think, so Jeff and I had talked this over, and I think what came out of it was that I don't know that there's a reason why we couldn't have sponsors. But we also would be able to contribute if we want to go in a non-sponsor direction. I have $2,500 in my budget that I could put towards a video in this before the end of June.
Is that more than you originally had said?
I think it's the same as what I had said before, and I can't remember, Nancy, maybe you can remind us how much those types of videos kind of run.
That was the number I remember.
Was it 1,500?
Then I think it was more than that.
The 8?
Yeah, because I think, if I'm trying to remember back now, I'm thinking that it was 2,500, or I think it was 2,500. That was if we had gotten sponsors, because obviously this company was going to be doing work with the sponsors and making up some money that way. So if we did not get sponsors, then the video was going to be, there was going to be a higher cost.
Yeah, I had written down from the November 5th meeting to produce the video was 1,500.
No, yeah, but then it went up from there.
Okay, so that's,
Because I really just was confused about the sponsor piece. So
I think the message from Jeff was why not get sponsors? I don't think there was a concern about that. But that's up to this group. So, if you don't want to have sponsors attached to the video.
The only, I'm almost afraid to say it, but the only potential perception that gets created when you have a sponsor on a product like this that's going out from the municipality is that it suggests that there's an endorsement, and that the town, I guess in this case, is saying we like this company better than their competitors down the street. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think that's the danger or the potential perception that gets created there. And maybe, I don't know, if Jeff's not concerned, I'm not concerned, frankly. I certainly have no concern about it at all. I love the idea of partnering and having a sponsor on board. Towns do it all the time. You drive down Woburn, I think it's Perullo Field. They have sponsor banners and flags all around there, So why not?
well, I think the angle, Mike, we'd want to be that these businesses find Wilmington to be a good place to do business. Just to support, that they feel like, the town supports them and that they get, depending again on the type of business, but.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to get working on that then. I'm going to call the video guy and put together a package, and we have you $2,500 by June 1st. So let me come up with that and a timeline for when he can kind of get out and get some footage and some of the things that's from my earlier notes that I can start working on in terms of scripting and things like that we could do now before he gets before the spring comes, he can go out and get some photos.
Exciting.
That might be something to build into the national development letter if we really think that's going to happen. That, hey, we're not only we would like some mixed use, but we're actively soliciting mixed use. And your property would be perfect. Just a thought.
Yeah, love the thinking. Okay, thank you, Nance. That's exciting stuff. I'd love to see that come to fruition, and it sounds like with a little bit of money and some creativity and sponsorship, we can make a nice professional quality video that'll show our best assets. I'm going to jump over B for just a second. I would not jump over it, but I wanted to. It was now that I was going to cue you, Valerie, but don't cue you yet. Go to C. Valerie, if you don't mind, just advise the team here what's going on with regards to, the breweries and we talked about this. I think there's a couple of articles being written for town meeting to change some of the zoning to accommodate the potential for like a brew pub, but I'll let you speak to it.
Yeah, there are two that kind of came out of the work that we've all done. One being to change currently restaurants, general service restaurants are only allowed by special permit in our general business district. And the special permit criteria that go along with it are really onerous and strange. So the idea is to get rid of the special permit requirement and just allow those restaurants, the general service restaurants, which are basically the sit-down restaurants, as of right in our general business district. We heard a lot about people want restaurants. This is a barrier that we can remove for restaurants. And those uses will still go through site plan review with the planning board to work out, traffic, to work out site layout and stormwater and all the things that go with that. So that's one of them. The other one is to create a new use called brew pub, and it's basically a restaurant, primarily a restaurant that can also brew its own beer, and mostly for sale and consumption on site at the restaurant, but also can have up to 25% of its production as wholesale. So the idea is to create, as we heard from the UMass study, create more of an experiential place that's a restaurant, but a little bit more than a restaurant, and something different. So that use would be allowed in the same districts that we allow our general service restaurants, and would also be allowed as of right. Would go through the planning board for site plan review to work out all of the the site components, the stormwater, the traffic, and all of that. And it's that use I was able to talk through with the ABC, the state agency that governs the alcohol licenses, and he actually gave some great feedback, made me feel good about it, because he said it's a great approach and it sounds like it's modeled well. Sort of modeled after like a beer works or, that type of thing. So we don't, kind of opening the door there to see if there's any interest in that type of use, and always can kind of tweak the use further if we find that that's necessary. There are a couple others, but probably not as much of interest. We're changing the groundwater special permit for impervious cover for commercial uses to the planning board rather than the ZBA. And we're rezoning a small section of parcels in town off on Mozart and Bailey Ave. They're small parcels that are currently zoned R20, and we're rezoning them to R10 so that they're closer to what their actual size is. And those are the four that the planning board are putting forward this year.
That's exciting.
Yeah, you're right. The final two, while interesting and exciting, have nothing to do with us. But the first two are really exciting. And I hope maybe we don't have inquiries now from potential restaurants or brew pubs or whatever. But I hope that once these measures are hopefully supported and passed, we can kind of tout that a little bit through social media and other methods and get that word out, and maybe reach out to some of the existing brands that are out there and see if they're looking at maybe growing in our vicinity. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to hopefully someone showing interest in finding Wilmington as a place to have a.
Harpoon Brewing of Wilmington, Mike.
Don't you think? I love that idea, Paul. I love it. We know some people. We'll get some phone calls.
Hoptown Brewery, that's what Wilmington used to be called in the old days, Hoptown, because we used to grow hops. I have a question, Valerie. Is this going to be allowed in general industrial too? I mean, it sort of kind of fits in there, right?
So the brew pub use?
Yeah.
So we mirrored where we allow restaurants currently, and that is highway industrial, but we do not allow the brew pub use in general industrial. But a brewery would be able to, which is an industrial use, would be able to locate in the general industrial, just not this brew pub use, which is primarily a restaurant.
So Suzanne, I think like, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but like Lord Hobo in Woburn, or there's a place in Andover I've referred to before, like it's called the Oak and Iron. These are in old industrial buildings that have been retrofitted for this nano brewery kind of purpose. And they do have some very minimal amount of food that they serve because it is alcohol and COVID or whatever, but it's, pretzel bites and chips and charcuterie and things like that, but it's not meals. But that's kind of relegated to the general industrial area, which I think it kind of maybe makes more sense there anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think of, like the Ipswich Brewery and, Ipswich too. Same thing, an old mill building that was transformed into a brewery. Yeah, I was just kind of curious if there was any overlap there, because of course I was also thinking about Textron, but I mean, you could always maybe whittle off a little bit of it or something, like to fit that zoning. But I mean, I was just thinking about that maybe too, so. Good
thinking. So that's happening. That'll be on town meetings warrant. So there's actionable items that came from the fruits of your discussions and labor. So congratulations, everybody. Conscious of time. Go back to B under marketing video heading. And Valerie, if you don't mind, Greg Bendel, a couple of days ago, brought to my attention a report that he had seen, I think, on the news. And I thought, hey, that's actually kind of cool. And it's the town of Easton, I believe, and I don't want to bury the lead. So Val's going to play something that I think is kind of neat. So take a listen.
Okay, please let me know if you can hear it, because this is the first time I'm doing this.
No, we cannot. When you shared, you have to enable audio.
Valerie, you sound like a teacher right now.
I think you have to unshare, Val, and try again. Oh, she's hearing you.
I don't think Val can hear you.
Email is karen@easton-chamber.com.
Oh, heard her.
You couldn't hear that at all.
No.
No, the last sentence.
Sentence.
Okay.
I think we got the message, though. I mean, with just seeing that it's promoting the town and the businesses and the community.
Let me try one more thing.
Yeah.
Mike, you're muted.
Okay. Valerie, when you go to share on the share screen in the bottom left, if memory serves, there's an option to share system audio.
Oh.
Right? Yeah, share sound.
Mike, this is what teaching's like every day for us.
Okay, here we go. Let me try this one more time.
Easton Outside
is a public,
private partnership,
voting safe,
economic,
recreation, and civic opportunities
in the town of Easton.
Easton Outside
is town government
coming together with local businesses
and nonprofits.
Say we are open. We are safe. Dine at our local restaurant.
support our local charities,
shop at
our local stores,
Enjoy our local recreational opportunities.
If you want one of our Easton Outside signs,
or if you want to be in one of our videos.
Contact Karen at the Easton Chamber of Commerce. That's me. My email is karen@easton-chamber.com.
That was awesome.
Thank you, Valerie.
Good job, Valerie.
So I'm not trying to create more work for you, Nancy.
That was great.
That's good. I liked it a lot.
You know, it's a partnership between the government and the Chamber of Commerce in their case. You know, it's not wicked polished, but it doesn't have to be. It's cute, it's fun, and it gets a message across. So, Greg, thank you for pointing it out. I like it. You know, and like everything else, if there's an inclination and a desire to do something like that, we got, you know, who's going to do it, how, who's going to fund the signs if the signs are part of it. So I leave it up to you guys. I don't know if that motivates anybody, or I'll shut up and let you talk.
I just
I
wonder.
think it's great.
I think it's great too. I just wonder if, you know, as the shots become more and more available, you know, by the time, are we a little behind it? We're a little behind on the outside thing, because we seem to be able to go inside more. We're up to 40% now, right, from 25.
Yeah,
So-
I was thinking the same thing, Carol. I think we kind of missed the boat on it. And I don't know, I'm sorry, I didn't love it. I personally would like a polished video about the town, and I think, you know, again, I think we're behind the boat on it. That would have been cute when we first opened up, you know, the restaurants and things like that, but that's just my 2 cents.
No, I think that's a good point, because when did that come out? Do we know?
That was featured on the news this past, I think it was Sunday morning. I probably texted it to you too early, Mike, but sorry about that. But it was Sunday.
Yeah.
No, I was wide awake doing my economic development homework, Greg. So
Well, even if we don't do it because of COVID, I mean, the thought process, I think, is still a good one, just to, you know, engage the local businesses, and just for a promotional video, just, you know, a We're Wilmington type of video. But I agree, a more polished one would obviously be better. But
An example of what you can do with your local access television. You know, obviously it's not going to win any Academy Awards.
No.
In the future, if we have an endeavor, and I think Carol's right, we may have missed the boat on it, but in the future, if we want to send out a message, that's a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things I liked about it was the sign campaign aspect of it. So
Yeah.
maybe that's something to think about in the future. I really kind of like that idea of, you know, the sign campaign, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do like that as
True.
I do like that idea. The other thing is, you know, Wilmington we are putting together a video that's going on the website. So the library is actually coordinating it and in conjunction with WCTV. So the town officials have already done their spots for that video, and that's kind of, you have like a 1-minute introduction about about who you are, you know, what you do for the town, what your organization provides, and nonprofits, including the chamber. We're going, I think it's March 3rd to do our spot. And so that's all being pulled together by WCTV. And that video is going to be on the town website. It'll be on the chamber site. It will be, you know, sent out. So that's another, you know, kind of video-ish synopsis about our town. But to throw that out.
it sounds like maybe the notion is, if we had kind of initiated this in December or November, and released something in December, it would have been more timely, especially going into like the doldrums of winter. But now the perception is we're coming out of winter, and not only we're coming out of winter, but God willing, we're coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
And so perhaps if the message is a little past its most opportune time. But that also being said, if we're going to make inroads towards making a professional, polished economic development, Wilmington marketing video, would they be too contrasting in juxtaposition to each other? So I think a campaign like that for signage, buy local, wilmingtonbusinessfirst.com or something to that effect, perhaps in the future in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce, is a worthwhile effort. Let's just keep it in the back burner. And if and when the time comes up where we want to resurrect this idea, we have a model to kind of base it on. That's my feeling on it. But
Yeah.
I don't want to ever step on someone's toes if they wanted to charge forward with a project.
Yeah. I like the buy local sign campaign.
I do too.
And Mr. Chairman, before we leave this kind of general subject, I did misspeak about the amount that that I can contribute. Nancy was right.
You said it. You said
yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
No takesies, backsies.
Yeah. So it's 1,500, not 2,500. That I can commit to the video. So
Okay.
sorry about that.
No, that's okay. And I think maybe it was 2,500 that I needed. So yes, but thank you for that.
So it looks like we need more sponsors.
I'm
But at
better
least
off-
we have the commitment from the town that sponsors are acceptable. I was of the mind that the town would be resistant to that. So I'm delighted. I think we should have not a ton of difficulty finding a few of our, really marquee brands around town that would be willing to step in and help us out.
Or maybe to the point, is maybe making the sponsorship dollar amount less and getting more sponsors, because we do have a lot of businesses out there, some of the larger businesses that are looking for sponsorship opportunities.
Sure.
Then we're not just highlighting, one business. So I will talk to the video guy about that as well.
Great. Thank you again. Okay, we're under 6 new business, which is member statements and discussion of agenda items for next and/or future meetings. So I'll just open it up to the floor. It's rather than talking over each other, if someone has something they'd like to contribute here, maybe raise a hand or something.
I think we have quite a few action items out of this meeting that will just naturally gravitate towards the next agenda and probably fill it up.
Yes, it's funny how I always feel like, oh God, we have nothing to talk about, and we always have plenty to talk about. I agree with you, Carol. Yeah, Nancy, please.
Starting the consultant in the webinars and the next steps, are we going to do that as a group, or how is that going to work?
I would think so, Nancy. So that might even be not a preliminary, but an interim meeting. We'll set our next meeting date. I'm pointing at my agenda. We'll set our next meeting date this evening, but I would suspect we may actually end up having another meeting specifically to the grant process and the consulting process without an agenda. It would be just for that purpose.
Okay.
And we'll, so you'll probably get communications from me along those lines over the course of the next month.
Perfect.
Anyone else? Awesome. We are under 7, which is public comments. And I do see that we have one individual that's been kind of listening to us throughout the evening. I want to offer the opportunity for the public to chime in, either using the phone method that I announced earlier in the meeting, or now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, is it David?
Yeah, this is.
Hi, David.
Hi, my name is David Tamang. I'm a Wilmington restaurant resident. So my comment really has to do with the Textron property development. I'm a bit concerned and have some reservations about the plans to turn those properties into an industrial warehouse complex. And the Yentile recreational area is like right next door, and I think my concerns are kind of twofold here. The first is traffic, and I know that everyone wants to avoid more traffic, but it really does become a bigger concern when it's so close to one of the town's main parks. And I think this is especially true if we're talking about heavy vehicles that are associated with sort of industrial areas. I think I heard earlier that there's going to be a traffic impact study as part of the project. And I really hope that the study takes into account sort of the types of vehicles as well as the overall traffic and addresses possible impacts to things like public safety. Again, this is going to be near a recreational area where children go to play. And I'd also hate for the facilities that are planned there to create a lot of noise pollution. Lots of industrial noise would be a nuisance to those who are enjoying the park, let alone the folks that have to live next to it. And I guess my second concern is cosmetic. I think that members of the committee also raised that point, particularly on the fields that are on Lowell Street. It would be a shame to have an industrial eyesore there with really no thought to the folks that have to live next to it. If it's tastefully done, that's one thing. So I hope that appearance is really part of the development plan as well. So that's all I have. Thank you for hearing my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Temang, and I appreciate you hanging in there with us this evening and listening in. Certainly, I echo all of your sentiments to a point. They're all very valid, and Suzanne, you're going to draft something. I'm confident that Mr. Temang's points will be reflected in your comments. I don't want to speak for you, but I get a weird vibe that maybe you agree largely with what he said too. Mr. Bendel, I don't want to push you into a corner here. You're our representative from the Board of Selectmen, and I know you folks have been sort of addressing some of these matters with the town manager and with the folks at Textron. Again, you don't have to comment on it, but if there was anything you wanted to share, we'd love to hear from you.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, sorry, I missed this portion of the meeting. We did have an emergency meeting of the Board of Selectmen that I'm coming from, but so I apologize how much you guys spoke about this, but what I can tell you is that, we were disappointed. I would say, maybe I'll just speak for myself. I was disappointed to find out after all this time that, they've indicated to the manager that they're going to be transitioning to a new business. And without knowing, we have indicated to them on a number of occasions for quite a few years now that if they were going to make a move, if they could let us know in advance so that we could A, counter, or B, be a part of that process and try to make sure that we could acquire some of the property, whether that was the ball fields or the tennis courts or both. So it was really disappointing that we kind of found out after the fact that the transaction had already taken place. And so we're kind of finding out things on the fly. And so, forgive me if Valerie's giving you more insight than what I've just mentioned, but our hope is that we can continue to try to go after some of that ball field space, that tennis court space, because I think it would be a really good portion of land to, put in conjunction with the Yentau Park, and maybe someday cutting through to a restaurant or for just a safe buffer for kids. And especially now we have, I'm sure you all are aware, we have a warrant petitioned article for to rezone directly across the street from Yentau by a resident. So that certainly could change. That'll be determined on May 1st. But, we continue to be updated as best we can by Jeff and Valerie. If I missed anything, feel free to elaborate. But
thank you, Greg. I'll connect with you after the meeting and let you know what how things went at that portion of our discussion. But and again, I'm sorry to push you into the corner to talk about it, but it was Mr. Temang had brought it up, so I wanted to make sure I gave you the opportunity to speak on it. So thank you. Valerie, do we have any other call-ins or anybody else that has indicated a desire to speak from the public?
We do not.
Okay. I think that's been ample amount of time. Again, thank you, David, for your comments. We are on just trying to set a time for our next meeting. Today is the 17th of February. We have been generally meeting about once a month. So I'm looking at the week of the 15th through the 18th. So that's Monday the 15th through the 18th of March. Is there a date that works better for the bunch?
And Mike, that will give us as a committee plenty of time to approve and get printed, whatever it is we want to hand out at the town meeting.
I think so. If we can approve the final draft that evening, or, you know, something that's representative of the final draft, yes, certainly. We have ample time to get that reproduced,
So-
in my opinion.
Just want to point out, Mike, we do have the joint meeting of the Finance Planning Board on the 16th.
On the 16th. Okay, thanks, Greg. So that's out. I hate to pull you into another evening meeting. Is it, you know, does that speak to going out to a week for like to the 23rd, or do you want to just try to squeeze us in on the 18th or the 17th?
17th, St. Patrick's Day.
It is.
What was that?
17th is St. Patrick's Day, and I'm Irish, so I'm going to be celebrating.
Supporting a local business, Rob, I hope.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
I would be in favor.
Support
Going-
local Uber drivers. Yeah, so thank you. I don't know. I'm a French Canadian guy. I don't pay attention to that night, unless, Rob, you call me and I'm ready to go. So
Absolutely. It's a
All right.
date. It's a date.
So what is that saying to me? We going to the 16th, or you want to bump it out to the 23rd?
How about the 18th? No one can do the 18th?
I can.
18th's good.
18th is good for me.
Oh yeah, I was looking at the wrong date. 18? I'm hearing 18.
Me.
Going once, going twice. Okay. The 18th will be our next meeting. And Lil will get minutes from this meeting, and we will.
Yeah, I'll get them out
resend-
this week.
We'll send 2 sets to you over the course of the next few days. And at that meeting, we will review and approve hopefully those 2 sets. And be on the lookout for a message from me as soon as I hear from the consultant with regards to the grant, and we'll schedule whatever it is that they need us to do. That will probably happen between now and the 18th. Until then, unless there's anything else, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
Second,
Made by Nancy, seconded by Greg. All in favor. Valerie?
Yes.
Mike is a yes. Lil?
Yep.
Nancy? Paul?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
And Greg?
yes.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much for your
Thanks,
time
everyone.
this
Be
evening.
safe.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a
Good night.
time.
Thanks,
Good
David.
one.
All right,
Bye.
everyone.